The wind blew hard across the barren planet, carrying dust that stung like tiny needles. Cracked rocks and broken towers lay scattered as far as the eye could see. In the middle of the desert stood a door. Not just any door, it was huge, carved from a metal that shone like silver but felt heavier than stone. Strange symbols glowed faintly along its edges, and no one had been able to open it for centuries. Many had tried. Many had failed. And yet the door waited. A group of aliens stood before it. They were tall and slender, their skin a deep shade of blue. Their eyes glowed with intelligence, and they wore armor that shimmered like sunlight on water. They had traveled across galaxies, hoping to claim whatever treasure the door might hide. The leader, a tall one with 3 eyes, pressed a palm against the door. Sparks ran across the surface and the symbols flared for a moment, then died out. The door remained shut. "Impossible," the leader said. "It will not open for us." His voice was calm, but the frustration in it was clear. The others tried their tools and strange machines. They hummed, clicked, and buzzed. They poured energy into the door, trying everything their advanced minds could imagine. But the door stayed still. Silent. Unyielding. Far from the group, a small figure moved slowly across the dunes. A human girl. She was no taller than a young alien child, with hair that shone gold in the sun and eyes that reflected curiosity more than fear. She had been wandering the ruins for hours, looking for nothing in particular, but somehow feeling drawn to this place. Her steps were careful, her small boots leaving prints in the dust. The aliens barely noticed her. They were too focused on their machines, too focused on the challenge they could not overcome. She stopped a few meters from the door, tilting her head as if she could understand the symbols somehow. She didn't know why she felt it, but the door called to her. Not in words, but in a warmth that touched her chest and made her heart beat faster. She reached out a hand. Just a small movement, nothing more. Her fingers brushed the cold, metallic surface. Instantly, the symbols flared bright white, and a sound like 1,000 whispers filled the air. The aliens jumped back in alarm. Machines sputtered and died. Sparks flew, then vanished. The door, which had not moved for hundreds of years, began to hum softly. The girl pulled her hand back and looked at it. Her small fingers tingled. She did not understand why the door had reacted. She did not know why her heart felt like it had recognized something familiar. The aliens stared at her, their mouths opening and closing, unsure of what to say. The tall leader stepped forward slowly, raising his hand in warning. "Step back, human," he said. "You do not know what you are doing." But the girl did not step back. Instead, she moved closer, drawn by a feeling she could not explain. She placed both hands against the door. The symbols glowed brighter, casting soft light across her face. She closed her eyes and felt a warmth spread through her fingers, through her arms and into her chest. The desert around them seemed to quiet. The wind slowed. Even the distant towers and rocks seemed to lean toward her. For the first time in centuries, the door made a sound. Low at first, like a sigh, then growing into a deep, melodic voice that echoed across the dunes. "Welcome back, Master," it said. The aliens froze. The girl opened her eyes and looked at them. She did not understand the words. "Master?" she whispered. The sound of the voice seemed to fill her, comforting and strange at the same time. She did not know what it meant, but it felt right. The leader of the aliens stepped forward, his 3 eyes wide. "This is impossible," he said. "No human could." He stopped. The door's glow shifted, and a sense of power brushed against him. Fear, awe, and confusion mixed inside him. He had seen many wonders, traveled many worlds, but this was beyond understanding. The girl's heart raced. She had not come here looking for adventure or treasure. She had not even known the door existed until now. And yet, somehow it had found her. Somehow it had waited for her touch. Her small hands rested on the metal, and the warmth did not fade. The symbols danced and shimmered as if recognizing her. The aliens exchanged nervous glances. They had thought themselves the most advanced beings in the galaxy. They had thought they could conquer anything. But here, on this lonely desert planet, a human child had done what no alien had ever done. The door had reacted to her. It had called her master. The girl took a small step back, unsure of what to do next. But the door pulsed in reply, as if encouraging her to continue. The desert around them held its breath. The ruins seemed to wait. And somewhere deep inside the door, ancient memories stirred, ready to awaken at last. The wind rose again, scattering dust over the desert, but the door did not close. It waited. And the girl knew, somehow, that she had only just begun to understand the secret it held. The desert was quiet after the door spoke. The wind had slowed, leaving only the sound of the girl's breathing and the soft hum of the glowing symbols. The aliens watched her from a few steps away, still unsure what to do. Their machines had stopped working, their energy seemed useless, and the girl had done what none of them could. She looked at the door, her small hands still touching the metal. It felt warm under her fingers, almost alive. She had never felt anything like this before. It was strange and frightening, but also welcoming. Her heart beat faster, and a strange calm filled her mind. Somehow she understood that the door was not dangerous. It was waiting. The leader of the aliens took a careful step forward. "Human," he said, his voice low, "step away. You do not understand what you are touching." The girl shook her head. She did not know why, but she could not step back. It was as if the door had pulled her closer, as if it needed her. I feel like it wants me," she whispered. The symbols along the door pulsed brighter, and a soft light spread across the desert. The other aliens shifted nervously, their long limbs brushing the sand. One of them, a smaller blue-skinned creature, whispered, "It recognizes her, it recognizes a human." "Impossible," the leader replied. "It has waited for millennia. No human has ever come close. The door should not even notice you." But it did. And it was obvious. The girl felt the hum of power running through her fingers, through her arms, through her entire body. She closed her eyes and listened. It was not a voice she could hear with her ears, it was a feeling, a memory, a story that stretched across centuries, across stars, across worlds. She did not understand the words, but she understood the meaning. She belonged here. The door shivered slightly under her hands, and suddenly tiny cracks of light appeared along the edges. The symbols began to move, shifting and dancing in patterns she could somehow understand. She opened her eyes. The glowing symbols formed shapes, showing visions of people long gone, machines long broken, and stars long dead. She could see cities floating in space, ships moving faster than light, and strange beings that looked like they had been rulers of the galaxy. She gasped. I think I know what this is," she said. Her voice was small but steady. The aliens tilted their heads, curious despite themselves. The door pulsed again, and the hum became louder. It was as if it was speaking to her directly now, sending her thoughts, memories, and feelings. One alien stepped forward, a hand raised in caution. "Be careful," he warned. "It is ancient. It is powerful. You may not survive." The girl shook her head. "I'm not afraid," she said. "It wants me. I feel it." The symbols shifted again, and the visions became clearer. She could see an alien race trying to open the door long ago, just like the one standing now. They had failed. She saw humans, but not like her. Humans that traveled the stars, humans that had once ruled planets and civilizations long before any alien had known them. The door had been waiting for a human all along. Not just any human. Someone like her. The aliens could not believe their eyes. Their advanced technology, their greatest minds, had all failed. And this small, fragile human girl had awakened the door without knowing why. One of the aliens whispered, "There is something special about humans, something we cannot understand." The girl took a deep breath. She reached out and touched one of the glowing symbols. The light wrapped around her fingers like water, warm and alive. She felt memories flowing into her mind. Memories of the galaxy, of lost civilizations, of power she had never imagined. She did not understand everything, but she felt it. She felt her connection to it, and it made her stronger. The leader of the aliens stepped back, fear and respect in his eyes. This should not happen," he muttered. "A human, the door, it cannot choose her. It must be wrong." But it was not wrong. The door pulsed again, and the voice returned, softer this time, almost gentle. "You have come. You are ready." The girl smiled. She did not know what being ready meant yet. She did not know the door's secrets or the power it held. But she knew she had been chosen. And somehow, deep inside, she understood that humans had always been meant to be part of this story. The aliens watched in silence. They had traveled galaxies, conquered planets, and studied the stars. They had believed themselves the most advanced, the most powerful. And now they saw that one human, small and fragile, had done what none of them could. The girl took a step back, still holding her hands on the door. She looked at the aliens, then back at the glowing metal. I think it wants me to go inside," she said. The leader shook his head. "You cannot," he said. "The door is dangerous. You do not know what lies within." She smiled faintly. "I think I do. It feels like home." The desert seemed to listen. The ruins seemed to lean closer. Even the wind had stopped. The door waited, alive and patient. And the girl, human and small, stood ready. The first step had been taken. The secret of the door was beginning to awaken. And the aliens knew, finally, that humans were not ordinary. They were something more. Something powerful. Something the galaxy had long forgotten. The glow from the door filled the desert with soft white light, painting the sand and ruins in an otherworldly glow. The girl's hands rested on the cool metal, and she felt a warmth spreading from her fingers into her chest. It was as if the door was alive, breathing slowly, waiting for her to understand. Who are you?" she whispered. Her voice was barely more than a breath. She did not know if she was asking the door or herself. The symbols shifted again, forming lines and shapes she could somehow recognize. They told stories, not in words she knew but in feelings and images. She saw great cities floating in space, humans traveling among the stars, and beings of light who seemed to guide them. She saw battles, victories, losses, and peace. And through it all, one constant appeared: humans. Humans were there, shaping the galaxy, protecting it, leading it. The door hummed again, louder this time, and the words came clearly in her mind: "You are the one we waited for. You are the master." She gasped, pulling her hands slightly back. Master? She was just a girl. Small. Ordinary. How could she be a master of anything? The aliens watched silently, their eyes wide. They had seen power before. They had studied technology that could destroy planets and minds that could bend reality. But this was different. A human child, chosen by a door older than their civilizations, holding power none of them could touch. The leader whispered, She is not like us." The girl looked down at her hands and then back at the door. The symbols now moved faster, like a dance, showing images of the galaxy as it had been long ago. She could see humans teaching, humans fighting, humans protecting worlds. It felt like a memory she did not have, a history she had never learned, but somehow understood. A soft sound filled the air, almost like laughter. She turned to look, but there was no one there. The voice spoke again, gentle but firm: "Do not be afraid. You have always been meant for this. Step forward." She took a deep breath and moved closer to the door. As she did, a section of it began to shift, revealing a thin line of light. Her heart beat faster. The door was opening, not fully but enough to show what lay beyond. Inside she could see faint outlines of machines, strange glowing panels, and walls covered in symbols even older than the ones on the outside. "Inside," she whispered. Her voice shook, but it carried excitement too. "There is something inside." The aliens stepped forward cautiously, unsure whether to follow or stay back. One of them, the smaller blue-skinned one, muttered, "We should leave. We cannot understand this. It is beyond us." But the leader shook his head. "No," he said. "We have waited long enough to see this. But we will watch carefully. Do not touch anything without knowing its power." The girl smiled faintly, though she did not fully understand what she was smiling at. She placed her hand on the door again, and it pulsed under her touch, like a heartbeat. The light inside seemed to reach out to her, wrapping around her fingers, her arms, her entire body. She felt knowledge flowing into her. Knowledge of machines that could harness energy from stars, ships that could cross galaxies in moments, and secrets of civilizations long gone. Her eyes widened. She could feel it. She could feel the power but also the responsibility. She was not just chosen. She was the keeper of this power. The master. And it was waiting for her to understand how to use it. The aliens stared, some in awe, some in fear. They had traveled for centuries, seeking this door, seeking its treasure. But the door had chosen a human. Not them. Not any of their great leaders or scholars. A human girl. Small, fragile, and yet more capable than all of them combined. The door hummed louder, and the words came again in her mind: learn, protect, lead. She nodded slowly. She did not fully understand yet, but she felt the truth in it. She felt the weight of the history, the responsibility, and the promise. Humans had always been part of the galaxy's story. They had been forgotten, hidden, underestimated, but they had never been weak. The girl took a deep breath and stepped closer to the opening. Light spilled out, warm and bright. It did not blind her. Instead, it made her feel stronger, braver. She reached inside, touching a glowing panel, and the symbols on it shifted, responding to her. Machines whirred softly, lights blinking in patterns that seemed alive. The door recognized her. It accepted her. The aliens whispered among themselves, unable to hide their shock. The leader's voice was low, filled with awe. "Humans, we have underestimated them. All this time, and we never saw." The girl looked back at them, her small face calm but determined. This is ours," she said softly. "Humans were always meant to be here." The door pulsed again, stronger this time. The chamber inside seemed to stretch into endless light, full of secrets waiting for her to unlock. She felt the memories of the past, the promise of the future, and the power of the present all at once. For the first time in centuries, the ancient door had truly awakened. And the galaxy, it seemed, had awakened with it. The girl smiled, ready to step inside. She did not know everything she would find. She did not know all the dangers, all the responsibilities. But she knew one thing clearly: she had been chosen. She had been trusted. And she was ready to begin. The door finally opened wide, revealing a chamber bathed in soft, golden light. The air inside felt alive, buzzing with energy that made the girl's hair lift slightly. She stepped inside carefully, her small feet barely making a sound on the smooth floor. The walls were covered in strange symbols that pulsed like hearts, glowing brighter when she looked at them. Machines hummed and clicked as if waking from a long sleep. The aliens stayed at the entrance, hesitant to follow. Their eyes were wide with awe. They had never seen technology like this, not even in the greatest cities of their worlds. But the girl did not hesitate. She could feel a connection to this place, something deep and instinctive, as if it had been waiting for her all along. She walked slowly, reaching out to touch a panel. Light ran along the surface and spread across the floor like liquid. A soft voice spoke in her mind, gentle but firm: "Touch and learn. You are ready." The girl's eyes widened. She had never heard a voice like this before, but it felt natural. She pressed her hand on the glowing panel, and suddenly the chamber shifted. Images appeared in the air, holograms of stars, planets, and ships that could travel faster than light. She saw humans piloting ships, humans leading armies, humans discovering worlds. It was like looking at history and the future all at once. Her heart raced. I can see it all," she whispered. She touched another panel, and it showed maps of galaxies she had never known existed. Lines of energy connected stars, planets, and moons in patterns that seemed alive. She could feel the flow of power through them, like a river waiting to be guided. The aliens watched silently. They could see the machines moving in response to her, symbols glowing brighter under her touch. One of them muttered, How does she do this? We tried and it did nothing. But she awakens it." The leader nodded slowly. "She is not like us," he said. "She has something we do not understand. Something we cannot measure." The girl's small hands moved over the panels, and the chamber responded. Doors opened, revealing rooms filled with more machines, more glowing symbols, and objects that seemed to float in midair. She felt a strange joy, like discovering a treasure she had always known existed. She ran her fingers along a console, and suddenly a hologram of a massive ship appeared, its engines glowing. She could feel its energy, its speed, its potential. "This is incredible," she whispered, unable to hide her excitement. "Everything here, it's waiting for me." The door pulsed behind her, almost as if it was smiling. "Learn. Protect. Let," it said again. The girl nodded, understanding more clearly now. She was not just exploring. She was learning, gaining knowledge that had been hidden for centuries. Knowledge meant to be used wisely by someone who could guide it. She moved to another section of the chamber. There, a series of floating orbs spun slowly, each glowing with a different color. She reached out and touched one, and instantly memories of battles, discoveries, and triumphs filled her mind. She saw humans leading alien allies, humans defending planets, humans shaping the galaxy. The orbs were showing her what humans had once been capable of, and what she could become. The aliens whispered among themselves, clearly amazed and slightly afraid. They had traveled countless light years seeking knowledge, power, and treasure. Yet here was a human child, small and untrained, doing what they could not. One of the aliens shook its head. "Humans, we never understood them. They were always more than we imagined." The girl took a deep breath. She felt power flowing into her, but it was not overwhelming. It was comforting, like a guide, a mentor teaching her step by step. She could feel herself growing stronger, not just in body but in mind. She was beginning to understand the machinery, the energy, and the secrets of the chamber. She moved to a large console in the center. When she touched it, the entire chamber seemed to hum. Light spread from the walls, floors, and ceiling, and the symbols danced in patterns she could follow. She realized she could control the energy, guide it, and even shape it. She could see how the stars and planets connected, and how humans had once navigated the galaxy using this knowledge. Her eyes shone with determination. She was small, yes, but she was chosen. She was the one the door had been waiting for. She could feel the responsibility, but she also felt excitement. This power, this knowledge had been hidden for centuries, waiting for someone like her, someone human. The aliens stayed near the entrance, silent witnesses to what was happening. They had seen leaders, warriors, and scholars, but none could do what she was doing. One of them whispered, "She is more than a human. She is the key." The girl smiled softly. She did not know everything yet. She did not know all the secrets or dangers. But she knew this. She was ready to learn, ready to protect, and ready to lead. She was beginning to understand the true power humans could hold. And in that glowing chamber, surrounded by ancient machines and the hum of forgotten energy, the human girl took her first steps toward becoming the master the galaxy had waited for. The chamber glowed brighter than ever. Light filled every corner, reflecting off the smooth walls, the floating machines, and the symbols that pulsed like living hearts. The girl stood in the center, her small hands lifted, touching the controls, the glowing orbs, and the panels that hummed in response. Every movement she made seemed natural, as if the chamber itself understood her. The aliens remained at the entrance, silent, their eyes wide with awe. They had traveled galaxies, conquered worlds, and studied knowledge that spanned the stars. Yet here, on this lonely desert planet, a human child had done what none of them could. They realized, with a mix of fear and respect, that she was not just human. She was something more. The girl could feel the energy flowing through the chamber. It was powerful but not overwhelming. She could feel the history of the galaxy in her hands, the battles fought, the knowledge gained, the civilizations that had risen and fallen. She could feel the choices humans had made long ago, the mistakes, the victories, and the promise of what could still be. A soft hum grew louder, resonating through the chamber. The symbols on the walls pulsed faster, and the machines activated fully, responding to her touch. Holograms of ships, cities, and star maps appeared around her, spinning slowly, showing her patterns and connections she had never known. The chamber was alive, but it obeyed her. She was the key. She was the master. The voice of the door spoke again, clear and strong. "You are ready. Led." The girl swallowed. She had never been a leader. She was just a child. Yet, looking at the glowing chamber, at the secrets it held, and at the aliens watching her, she felt something stir inside her, a certainty she had never known. She could do this. She could guide this power not for herself but for everyone. She raised her hands and touched a large panel in the center. Instantly, beams of light shot across the room, connecting all the machines, the orbs, and the symbols into one network. She could feel the energy flowing through her, flowing through the chamber, flowing across the galaxy. She could see the stars, the planets, the paths humans had once taken, and the paths they could still take. The aliens gasped. One of them whispered, "She controls it, all of it." The leader stepped closer, but not too close. This should not be possible," he said, his three eyes wide. "No being should hold this power alone." The girl smiled faintly. "It was never meant for anyone else," she said softly. "It was waiting for a human." The chamber pulsed again and the walls shifted, revealing more rooms, more secrets, more knowledge. The girl could see plans for ships faster than anything the aliens had ever built. She could see maps of distant worlds and the histories of civilizations long gone. She could feel the power of the ancients flowing through her, but it did not frighten her. It guided her, taught her, and welcomed her. The aliens watched in silence, understanding at last. They had thought themselves supreme, the most advanced beings in the galaxy. They had thought no human could ever match their intelligence, their technology, or their strength. But now they realized the truth. Humans were different. Humans had something no alien could measure. Intuition, creativity, courage, and the spark to awaken what had been forgotten. The girl took a deep breath and stepped fully into the center of the chamber. The light wrapped around her like a cloak. The machines hummed in harmony. The symbols pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. She felt connected to everything, the past, the present, and the future. She was no longer just a girl. She was the master of the ancient door, the keeper of knowledge, and the guide for what was to come. The door's voice spoke one last time, soft but powerful. "Humans have always been meant for this. Led wisely, master." She nodded. She did not know all the answers, but she knew this. She would protect the knowledge, she would guide those who were ready, and she would awaken the humans once forgotten in the galaxy. She had a purpose, greater than herself, greater than the aliens who watched her in awe. The leader of the aliens knelt slowly, one knee touching the sand outside the chamber. We honor you," he said, his voice trembling. "You are the master the galaxy has waited for." One by one the other aliens followed, some kneeling, some bowing slightly. They did not fully understand, but they felt it. Humans were something extraordinary. Something the universe had underestimated for too long. The girl smiled softly, her hands still glowing as she touched the panels. She looked around the chamber, the secrets it held, and the paths that stretched across the stars. She was ready. She was human. And she was the master. Outside, the desert wind rose again, scattering dust across the ruins. But inside the chamber there was calm, light, and energy. The ancient door had waited for centuries. And now, finally, it had found its master. For the first time in the galaxy's history, humans were recognized not as ordinary, not as weak, but as the spark that could awaken the forgotten, the lost, and the powerful. The girl, small and human, had become proof that the universe's greatest power often came in the smallest forms. And as she stood in the glowing chamber, ready to lead and to learn, the aliens watched in awe, knowing the galaxy had changed forever. Humans had returned. Humans had awakened. And the story of the universe would never be the same again.